We have a way of getting them laughing. There's a girl with a fine pair of legs there. Kelly and George Jones.
Oh, yes.
Rock It Up. Do You
yeah.
Come Here Often finale. Those are a very solid pair of pins, I tell you. They're a good-looking woman. And there's Tony Bagnall with Brendan O'Brien, the late, great Brendan O'Brien. Tony, this is a gorgeous book, and it's called Do You Come Here Often? The Golden Age of the Show Bands by Tony Bagnall. And it's the pictorial content in this is magnificent, Tony. And the writing is, as one would expect it to be, comprehensive because, as I said, you're a doyen of local sports journalism. And this is now look, you've turned your hand to this. What's the provenance of this? Where did the idea come from, and why did you want to do it?
Gabby Kern actually suggested it to me because he did a book in the late 90s on show bands, and he suggested that we do another one. But I started off, and then Gabby was very busy, so I just persevered my own. So, I just bother away with it.
Yeah, but I mean, where does a man start when you want to find all of the pictures that are in this book?
Well, so I always had a very bit of memorabilia.
Oh.
On show bands, and I begged, borrow, and I don't think I stole. Maybe I did steal.
I wouldn't have
pictures
thought
as
so.
well.
Is that you as a young fellow? That's you as a young fellow.
That's me about 7, 8 years ago, I think.
Wow, you're a handsome devil, I tell you. There you are. So you had the material more or less in the bottom drawer, ready and waiting to be used, and the title actually is inspirational. You know, do you come here often?
Well,
how you doing? Do you come here often?
That's what they used to say in the dances too.
Are you going home with anybody?
Yes, yeah. But now, presently, it's the title of a series of show band shows in Belfast, in the waterfront, and Dublin and Derry.
Yes.
By a guy called David Hull, and I rang David Hull and asked him, would he mind me using his title?
Yes. And what did David say?
He said, by all means, no problem at all.
But isn't that the sign of a great man, that he makes no fuss over small things?
Yes, yeah.
And many lesser people than David would have made a whole hullabaloo about it. You have George Jones here, and did you interview George for the book?
I did interview George, yes.
How is he these days?
He's fine.
He used to be in BBC when I was there running Radio Current Affairs, and I remember that's when his demise occurred in the BBC.
Yeah.
He went on to something else then.
Yeah.
But he used to have a great character called Sadie.
That's right.
Sadie.
Yeah.
Yes, Sadie. Yeah. Oh, George, hey. And all this was going on.
Yeah,
he
was good. He's very knowledgeable about the show band.
Yeah. What kind of things was he telling you in the interview?
Just about the history of show bands, more or less. And he went back and told how his story and added other pieces to it. I also interviewed the chaplain of show bands, Father Brian Darcy. You probably know him too, Rowan.
Brian, he's going to be sitting on Friday in the seat that you're sitting in there. He's coming in next Friday. So come over and say hello to him.
Oh, well, yes.
He'll be here from 10 o'clock. Isn't it Friday he's coming in, Brian? Yeah, he is indeed. So come over.
Right,
yeah,
I will,
you'll be welcome there.
So, what time's he coming here?
I think Brian's on with me from 9:30 to 10:30.
Right. Well,
so he's a new book, you see, as well.
Yeah, he has, yeah. He's a lovely guy, and he's really knowledgeable too.
So what was this chaplain of show bands about? What was that all about? I think the last thing show band people might have wanted to see when they were out on the road, there he is, for goodness sake, was a priest and a chaplain. But I mean, what did he do as a chaplain?
He talked to them, and he heard their confessions. He said he's one of the few people that know the story of show bands. He said, he says it cannot be written.
The real story.
Yeah, the real story.
Because he heard it in the confession box.
Yes,
wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yes,
and not a word to be spoken.
There's three people know the whole story, and he's one of them.
He said, God would be another, I suppose.
Yeah.
And certainly it's good. But I mean, what was it? When it all started, the show bands. You know, we were growing up. It was really at the very beginning of growing up. It was Radio Luxembourg that we tuned into of an evening.
Exactly.
You maybe remember that.
Oh, I do, of course.
And then somehow dances started.
Yeah.
And dances grew into the show band scene.
Yeah.
And these were all big bands.
They say that Clipper Carlton from Tyrone, Strabane, I think, started actual show bands. Before that, people sat on chairs and didn't entertain until they got up and did a few wee skits on, imitated some of the stars of that era, and that's sort of that was the start of show
The first, I don't know if you remember, the first dances, all the men would line up at one side of the hall,
right.
all the women would line up at the other
That's
side of
correct.
the hall, and there would be a dance announced, and there'd be a charge across by
That's
the
right.
men to the women, and you would pick the woman up, and but then show bands were a bit different. There wasn't that kind of segregation, was there?
No.
It was all kind of mingling.
Everybody mingled, yeah.
The Hilton was the great show band out of Newry.
Yeah.
What was the great show band place in Newry? The hall? Would it have been
Probably the town hall.
the town hall?
Or the parochial
and
hall.
then the parochial hall. What about the coal hole?
Well, the coal hole, yes, that wasn't, show bands didn't really play there because it was very small.
Small, yeah.
Mickey Carlin run that. It was also called the Bucket.
The bucket. Well, I
bucket.
remember it as the coal hole. And you
Yeah,
went up the stairs
that's
to
right.
get in.
That's
and
right.
The whole world of the coal hole. That was just where opposite McCann's Bakery is. That's the coal hole there.
Yeah.
And what, in your view, and through your research, Tony, what was it that started the decline of the show bands when they started to fade away?
Well, one of the biggest reasons was the Miami massacre.
Really?
Bands stopped coming across the border then, but it was on the wane then. By then, but country and western groups come in, and also Albert Reynolds had a maybe a dozen, more than a dozen, 16 I think, ballrooms way out in the middle of nowhere.
My goodness.
And then show bands, it was a wee bit too far for people to travel, so they started to go to lounges where everything was more comfortable. There was no drink in Albert Reynolds'
in his
ballrooms. And country and western bands started to come in as well.
Yeah, there's Pater Cowan, for goodness sake, with Sonny Knowles, and all kinds of people are there. Country and western come in. And it's the Orpheus in Belfast. There was the Astor in Belfast.
That's right, yeah.
And there was Maxim's in Belfast.
Yes.
For goodness sake. And you'd say to somebody, what do you do? Or do you come here often?
Yeah,
It was all the crack. But Newry, you know, we said about there's Seamus Mulligan, he was Newry.
Poor Seamus has passed on.
Passed on now. But we talked about Newry's Hilton show band. What was it about Newry, do you think, that led to our success as a town with such musicality coming out of it? Where did that come from?
We had a lot of bands. I don't know. I think in the 60s, most people, everybody wanted to be a show band singer, and a lot of people were show band singers, or show band players.
Goodness gracious. There's the epic, for God's sake.
The epic. Patter was lead singer with them for a while too.
Paddy Higgins.
Paddy Higgins, Marty Maggott.
Dee Dee Donnelly.
Well, Hilton run the go 44 years, Rowan.
My 44 years.
44 years.
And that's 44 years of going up the country, down the country.
That's right.
Did they go across the water at all?
They played in America as well.
America as well.
Yeah.
Good. And that was big in those days.
Yeah.
For goodness sake.
And Mickey's still playing, Mickey Dorn.
Mickey plays. He's there with his Castrol oil tin guitar. He's turned an oil tin into a guitar, and he plays away. A very musical fellow. He really is.
And a lovely guy.
Yeah, really.
Lovely guy.
He is indeed. I know Mickey, yeah.
And in that first Hilton show band, Rowan, we had Eleanor Toner.
Yes.
As you know, was married.
She married Pat Jennings.
Pat Jennings.
Yeah.
And Brenton Boyer, the famous Brenton Boyer of the Royal Show Band, was very, very taken with Eleanor.
Wow.
Said she was an absolutely top-class singer, and she also played on this. She also played on Sunday night in the London Palladium. That was one of the biggest shows in Britain at the time.
Yeah, I remember it so well. And can you remember any of the songs that would have been sung by the show bands.
Well, obviously the Hucklebuck.
The Hucklebuck. Deedle, 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 dee. No, that's not. Hey, do the Huckle.
That's
what
it.
way does it go?
That's it. I'm not going to start
Tell
singing.
me sing it. I don't know.
My
The
singing,
Hucklebuck. The Hucklebuck.
my singing wasn't great at the
Yeah.
in show
And what
bands.
else was there? There was the Hucklebuck, and there was
From the candy store in the corner by Dickie Rock.
the candy store on the corner.
I tell you, multi-talented.
I don't know. Oh my God, there's
And
Big
we had
Tom.
also Charlingford Bay by Patricia Grattan,
Yes.
who was recognised as being the best singer ever come out in Uri.
My goodness. God, it's just as amazing. It's so absolutely. There's the Royal Show Band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would have been the best?
I think the Royal Show Band would have been the most popular and the biggest selling.
And what about where would the Hilton have been on the list?
Hilton were well up there. Hilton were well up.
Yeah.
I think they were voted one time the third best band in Ireland or something.
My
Something like
goodness.
that. You know, they were
I'm
really, really good.
I'm
band.
holding this fondly because it's a lovely, lovely production, Tony. It really, really is.
Well, thank you very
And
much. For that.
it's great that you've done it because otherwise it was lost.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Now it's been captured forever, Tony.
Yeah. Well, there have been show band books.
Yeah.
I think that's. I don't think that there's been a book like mine in the
Yeah.
sense that it's loads of pictures and plenty of reading in it.
Yeah. It's one for a dark winter night by the fire. I think that's what it is. And the memories all. There's Rolly Daniels, for goodness sake.
There's a lot of those players playing in. Do you come here often? Show band shows in the
Yes.
waterfront this
Yeah.
year, like Rolly Daniels.
Yeah. There's Tommy McComiskey with Mickey Doran.
Did you remember Tommy McComiskey?
He's still about that.
He's
man.
still about, yeah. He's
He
a
is
lovely guy.
indeed. He's a brother of Big Anne's, I think. There's a girl called Anne.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. I think so anyway. I'm not sure. Look at this. This is a really lovely, lovely book. I promise you. It's fantastic. How long did it take you doing it?
Best part of last year, or this year, probably.
So fully a year. You would have been slaving away at it and
Yeah.
making it happen. There's the fresh.
And I was able to do the layout on it so that
Yeah.
when I brought it to the printers, they didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
They just had it printed.
And can they print a book like this in Uri? Or where did you get it printed?
There was a Apex printer, Apex Graphics did it. A guy called Noel McAllister.
Wow.
I don't think he printed it, but he got it printed for me.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. And the music still goes on in Uri. There's Big O, and there's Blonde Bombshell. Eileen Reid, for goodness
Do
sake.
you remember Aileen?
I do, surely. I give her wedding dress away
Million
a
times.
1,000 times, but still managed to hold on. Goodness gracious.
And by the way, you can get that book online.
Yeah.
I have a wee website called www.tonybagnall.
I see it here.
It's not on the back, no, it's only
No.
there. That's the
www.tonybagnall,
.com.
BAGNALL.com. TonyBagnall.com. BAGNALL. Where else can folk buy it?
We can buy it round the corner here in Savages.
Savages.
Or the Five Ways. I haven't put it national yet because I'm distributing it myself. I'm doing the whole works.
Well, you know, you're far, in many ways, you're far better doing that because some big company would take it and you would get sixpence out of every pound, which is not much good to you.
Well, I mean, get much more than 6 out of every pound anyway.
But it's good to do it yourself. Tony, I'm very grateful to you for coming in. It's lovely altogether. And good luck.
Well, thank you very much.
God bless
Thank you, Rowan. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
All the best to you.
Thanks
That's
very much. Thank
great
you.
credit
Appreciate
to
it.
you. Well done.
Thank you.
Tony Bagnall.